Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha with Ice Cream Fitness here. Today I want to talk to you guys about a news story that I saw first thing this morning, and I decided I would do it as a second video after my first informative video. But hold on, let me give you guys a bicep shot first. Oh, and also I wanted you guys to see Ryan Doris the sheep and see that he is definitely making gains, making all kinds of gains. Look at that thickness. Alright, the story I saw this morning, and I've read the exact same story on at least 5 different news agencies, and every single one of them are doing the same kind of bullshit. And it's a story about Rod Stewart's supposed steroid addiction from the 1980s and his penis shrinking. Now here's the problem we run into. The media go out of their way to report any sort of story that they can to demonize or to bash anabolic steroids. And here's part of the problem we run into. When the media says the word steroids, or the average person says it who has no biology or medical background, they all actually mean anabolic steroids. When a doctor says the word steroids, they're not talking about anabolic steroids. They're actually referring to corticosteroids like prednisone. And a medical doctor will actually call it testosterone, or they will call it anabolic steroids. They will not just call it steroids for short, because for them that's shorthand for corticosteroids, but for the general population that's short for performance enhancing drugs. And to the general public, they classify all performance enhancing drugs as a steroid, whether they are or not. Now, the problem we run into here is that when you look at the side effects and what he was taking it for in the story, it was very obvious that he was taking prednisone, which is a corticosteroid. It is not remotely related in any way to the functions in the body that testosterone anabolic steroids have. Yet they didn't say that, they just called it steroids. And then people reported the thing with the penis shrinking, which again is a myth associated with anabolic steroids, and that comes from the fact that anabolic steroids, one of the potential side effects is testicular atrophy. Not everybody gets this side effect, and it is one of the most easily reversible side effects that you can possibly have. It is temporary and very easy to reverse if it happens to happen to somebody. And so that's why I try to educate people on this stuff on my channel rather than allow all this fear mongering and the politics around it and the bullshit. So let's cut through the bullshit there. They try to say that sort of thing again to demonize it because the media the reporters are generally too fucking stupid to know the difference between an anabolic steroid and a corticosteroid. So they just used that to highlight the story and to sell a story. And the reality is, the media will never report this. They will absolutely never report this because they don't want a bunch of 15 and 16-year-old kids hearing this. But the reality is, anabolic steroids make your cock bigger while you're on them. It shrinks back to normal size after you come off. But the reality is that when you're on high doses of testosterone, your dick gets bigger when it's hard. It gets fuller, it gets thicker, it gets more vascular while you're on it, and then when you come back off the gear or you go back to a cruising dose or whatever you're doing, it will shrink back to its normal size. But this is a side effect that a lot of men have reported, so it actually does the exact opposite. But you'll never see that in the media, for obvious reasons, because that will encourage young men to go start injecting testosterone, and that's not what they want. So be aware of this, guys. Educate yourselves on basic biology, and when people just throw the word steroid around like that ignorantly, it shows a huge ignorance of biology, because I can list some other things that you put into your body, very possibly as my subscribers or someone close to you puts into their body, that are also steroids. And in fact, one of these supplements that I advocate people take, and it's legal in every single country in the world, and it's even added to a lot of your foods, is a steroid. Vitamin D is a steroid. Female birth control is also a steroid. But that's what happens when we just use the random term steroid instead of explaining the full definition. And in the case of anabolic steroids, it has a specific meaning. In the case of corticosteroids, it has a specific meaning. These are all different things. So when you hear something like that from the media, or you hear a doctor say the word steroid, don't assume that they are talking about the same thing that you think they're talking about, or they're talking about the things that athletes and bodybuilders use to be better at their sport. So I hope this has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.